Good afternoon. Welcome to our Week 5 Data Visualization, Microsoft Excel and Google Sheet. Okay. Not last week, but 2 weeks ago, week 4, the previous week, I was talking about the geography graph. Okay. So today, I will be talking about the tree map. So what is the tree map and what is the graph is best used for? Okay. So tree map is just like the name explained, is it is a tree, right? I mean the characteristic of a tree, the properties of a tree is that when you grow the tree and the plants and the tree grows, develops, it's have like main big main branches, and then one of those big main branches will sprout and splits into a smaller branches, and each of those smaller branches further split into branches and leaf. Okay, so whenever that you have sort of like the thing that keep subdividing, keep dividing, keep growing, chances are the tree map will show the information. It will show you and display the hierarchy. It's kind of like hierarchical structure visually, so that you'll be able to see it. Okay. Um, Another example would be like a family tree or the genealogy, right? Starting from you at your level, and then you will look it up, your descendant, you look it up, it's going to be your parents. And then from your parents, you look it up, the parents of your parents is your grandparents. And then beyond that, it's going to be your great grandparents and the great grandparents. And it have a layer of layers, and it can go to n number of layers. It's kind of like in mathematics, you take a limit, integral from 0 to infinity. Okay. So tree map is an ideal types of graph available in both Microsoft Excel and Google Sheet to organize the complex or layer information to show you the hierarchy, the hierarchical relationship. Okay, so let's take a look at one simple, for example, a very simple example is like now your grandparents have kind of like two children, right? Your mom and your aunt. And then our parents have three children, me and my brother and sister. So me and my two other siblings. And then my aunt, which is my mom, younger sister, has a son, which is my cousin. So that's kind of like a very seamless form of a family tree, like a genealogy. Okay, so you can actually use a tree map to see and show that relationship. Okay, and but anything that's fall into this sort of like category, subcategory, and you see that they keep repeating the same pattern, they keep dividing and subdividing sort of like recursively, then you feel like, this is the pattern. You can use tree map to show this kind of information to graph this stuff. So the first thing is, let's say that since the example that we've been using from earlier week are the world population. The world population, take a look at it to see how they keep divided it, right? Like at the root level, at the level one, you're gonna see that the world, the entire world, like the globe, the earth, right? And it will divide it into 200 plus nation currently, right? At this point, maybe it's 200 plus nation. And then within the nation, they actually have city and state. For example, let's take a look at, let's just sort of like make our example very simple. Let's say that the world has two countries like the United States and Japan, right? But remember, you know what? These layers can go as deep and as up to as many levels you wanted to. So it's kind of like you get recursively, right? So I created some example. Let me see. Okay, just go here. Okay, so take a look at this one right here. All right. let's just copy these things right here. Right? This column, okay, so basically it will require you either 3 columns to prepare for the data set in order to generate this graph. Is either 3 column or 4 column. The fourth column can be optional. But the first column is always a child, and the second column is sort of like a parent ID, okay, a parent. Like, for example, I say this is the word, right? Started out with this one. This is how you organize in your data in your data set before crafting and generating the tree map. Okay, so let's say that we take a look at the world population and the world, that's probably level 1. And then let's say it has 2 countries, the US and Japan. It doesn't have to be sort of like in order, but you know what? I just want to show you that the order is not that important. The critical and the important things for you to remember is make sure that you have the correct data on the second column, which is the parent ID, which is the parent column. It's kind of like the immediate parent, okay? Let's say that United States, right? The United States is parent, is immediate parent. Level 1 is the world, right? From the world, they divide it into nation state, right? And then in the United States, within the United States, you have a city, right? You have New York City, you have Los Angeles, you have Chicago, right? And then, you know, the New York City, um, the next column you have to build is basically is what is the immediate parent of New York City? You would say the United States. That's USA, right? It depends on the way that you build the data set in your table. It depends on the kind of information that you're interested in knowing. Okay, so it's not necessarily that, oh, if you want to take a look, because this is a city, right? The New York is actually a state in the city in the United States, and then Los Angeles, what it is parent, immediate parent is sort of like level 1 parent is going to be United States. You know, likewise, similarly, if you take a look at the Tokyo, it's going to be like a city in Japan. So its immediate parent would be Japan, Osaka, Japan. Let's just pick 2 city in Japan. And then Japan, what is parent? What is its immediate level 1 parent would be the world. Okay. So the way that you set it up, make sure all the data is actually lined up in the right column. And then the third column, it basically is just a number, numeric values. This number right here, let's say I'm interested in the world population. It could be a sales volume. It could be, you know, anything that's associated with numeric values that you want to associate it with this thing that you're interested in looking at it. Okay, so let's say this is the population of the world, right? And I just make it up some fictitious fact. And then this is going to be a population for New York, Los Angeles, and all this stuff. Because I'm interested in learning about the geography, and I want to see how the graph are generated. I want to take a look at how the graph looks like. Okay, so here it's going to be this is going to be the sum. Okay, of all this car of all this one right here. If you change the number, right? Okay, and the number will determine the size of the rectangle, the box. Okay, so let me generate this one for you. Okay, so take a look at it. And once you get the data set organized, you know, that's just like 90%, not even 80% of it. It's like 90% of it complete already. Okay. I mean, the most important thing is what kind of information you are interested in knowing. Okay. And then the next sort of like easier task would be organizing your data. And then the easiest one would be just generate a graph. All you do when it comes to like generating the graph, you just highlight the right range and then you just go here, insert, or just go here. You know, at first, Google Sheet automatically default to this kind of graph, a bar chart graph, but you want to go to a tree map. So it's over here, right? So that's what it is like, right? Now, you see that? And then you can go further here to customize. Let's say you want to customize, I don't know, maybe the header color, which is this color right here, to be this one, right? Yep. You see, you see Japan has two cities, Tokyo and Osaka. United States has New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. You can change this one into New York state instead of like city, right? This kind of stuff here, right? And you know what? And then I basically just I'm interested in to see, okay, let's say that I want to go a little further down. I want to break New York into, I'm looking at, I'm interested in looking at the city within, the boroughs within New York City, right? So New York City, let's say that it has, I don't know, 5 boroughs, right? So let's say that I'm interested into New York City and Sparrow. Okay, let's okay, so this is the NYC, the New York City, NYC, not the New York State. Okay, so it has 5 borough: Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. So now I feel like I'm interested in looking at, another level down, further down in Manhattan, in New York City. So I would say Manhattan and let's say Brooklyn. Okay, so let's build our data set that way. Okay, so here you say that you want to take a look at um, another level of details. Is a little further down after New York's City, the NYC. You want to know, okay, Manhattan, and then you want to take a look at the Brooklyn, right? Which is another borough in New York City. And then Manhattan, Brooklyn is what is now you have to sort of like uh, fill in the data for the second column, which is the parent. What is the immediate level 1 parent of Manhattan? You say that that's going to be in New York, right? That's New York City, right? And now if you take a look at it, you can see that, oh, New York here. Then you click on this one. Oh, you have to put the number in here too. The number, let's say that you put the number in here, I don't know, maybe 5, right? Uh, yeah, you know what? And change the number a little bit, like, I don't know, 44, this one 45, right? Now you can see that if you click on New York, it will show you the Brooklyn, Manhattan, okay? And then the United States actually have New York and Los Angeles and Chicago. And then within New York City, you actually have Brooklyn and Manhattan because the parents of Manhattan, Brooklyn, is belong into New York, right? Okay. Now, let's say that I'm also interested in looking at more detailed information after when you get to Manhattan. Remember that Manhattan is one of the five boroughs of New York City, NYC, not the New York State. And it's divided into three different regions, the Lower Manhattan, the Midtown, and the Uptown. So let's say that how the graph look like, okay? So now, because of, what, sometimes I'm kind of like interested in um, I kind of like apply because I feel like, hey, this kind of graph, visiting this website, this kind of graph, it really inspired me to see exactly where things are. I remember not only did you understand it quicker, but you be able to retain the information that you understood a lot longer in the future in many months to come. Okay. So because of this, I feel like, hey, I want to see exactly how the graph generated, how the tree map generated. So let's see that if I want to take a look at the next level down of Manhattan. Okay, so now I'm going to build my, let's say Manhattan is actually have the three different region, the uptown, the midtown, and the lower Manhattan. So you say that uptown, midtown, and then lower Manhattan, lower, right? And then what is the immediate parents of the uptown? This second column right here is a very, very important. You have to find the immediate parent, the level one parents. So that's going to be Manhattan right here. So you basically got to do that, right? And then take a look at it, right? This is New York, right? You click on this, is Manhattan. Now you want to know Manhattan, you click on that. You're going to see Manhattan. Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting. We have to put a number because the number numeric value uh, will determine the size of the rectangle box and will make the rectangle box visible. Okay. So let's do that here. Let's say 44. And let's just change this one to, I don't know, 24, 14. And then this one is just like, I don't know, right? And then if you click on this one, you're going to see that, Manhattan, uptown, midtown, and lower Manhattan, okay? But if you zoom out all the way to the root level, the level one, which is the world, right? Okay. And then right now, it's shown that, okay, United States, Japan has two cities, Tokyo and Osaka. United States has three cities, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. And then you click on this one, you see Manhattan and Brooklyn right here, right? You want to make this one, I don't know, maybe, no, not green, maybe blue, like that. Ah, you can actually change it. Okay, anyway, this is just kind of like customizing. You can change it to any, okay? Okay, so basically, and now from the level one, the root level, let's say that you want to show sort of like the information all three level. This is level two, this is level one. It's basically only show you the word and the state, right? Level two, it will show you, you know, the word, the countries, and its city, right? And then when you go to another level, take a look at it because you know what I'm interested in. I'm curious about what is the graph showing. So I basically just played around. Okay, Manhattan, right? And then you want to take a look at, oh, there's another level down. Manhattan are divided into different boroughs, like lower, midtown, and uptown. Let's take a look at it to see whether or not that information is shown, right? There you go, right? And then when you hop over, it will tell you the number. Okay. And then there's another example I want to show you is let's say that you're not interested in this one would be a country. Let's put this one right here. It's a country. Um, let's take another example. Let's say that you remember all of this one right here. I could have organized it. I could have organized in a way that you can clearly see that, okay, first of all, the world, and then you say the United States and Japan, and then within United States, you probably list New York, Los Angeles, Chicago under that. And then within the subcategory of Japan, you actually list Tokyo and Osaka. Okay, but the order is not that important. The most important thing is the first column is a child column, and then as long as you be able to correctly identify its immediate parent for the second column, and then this one right here, it basically just categorize the number associated with that. If you want, you can, if you want, you can actually add another column, which is the optional. It's for, this is going to be the color. Let's say you want USA to be, I don't know, maybe 4, I don't know, maybe 3, 5, Manhattan, 44, Brooklyn, 54. I don't know. I just make it up some number. I don't know exactly which color associated with that number. But let's graph, okay? Let's generate the graph to see which color it is. But the fourth column is the color information, okay? See that? It's probably have all these colors. You just have to do a little research online to look it up to see the color that you like and what is the number, okay? But this is the color number. Okay, now take a look at another example. Let's say that any example that actually that has like a category, and within the category they have a subcategory, and then within the subcategory they actually have its own data. Okay, let's take a look at like a department store, a Macy. Okay, I created this one here because I'm really interested in all this stuff. On the 34 Penn Station, there's the biggest Macy department store in the United States. I'm not sure whether or not it's still the biggest one, but I believe when I first got to New York 3 years ago, and I do some research, and they say that Macy in New York City by Penn Station is the largest department store in the United States. One of the largest store. Is really huge. Okay. So I walk past that. And then let's take a look at this number here. Okay. Let's say department store. Okay. You see that? Okay. Now, let's say that this is basic, okay, and it divided into a different department. You have a men's apparel on the first floor, you have a woman apparel on the second floor, and so on and so forth, okay, a furniture on the third floor, and you just have to build. And then within each floor, you have kind of like a different brand that you carry on for the men's apparel. You have Calvin Klein, Hollister, Muji apparel, Uniqlo, okay? All this stuff. And then make sure for the number column, this is the immediate parents. Macy is like the at the root level, at the level one root level. Okay, Macy. And then from Macy, they divide it into three different departments. That's why I highlight here. Okay, but this is just for sort of like a clear view for you to see exactly how things are divided. Doesn't have to be in this order. Okay, as long as you get the information on the first and second column correct, then it's fine. Calvin Klein is the immediate parents of Calvin Klein is a men's apparel. Hollister, men's apparel. Muji apparel is a men apparel, and so on and so forth. And make sure the number, this one right here, is actually a sum of this. This is a sum of, and that's how you do it. You just put an equal sign, and then that's how you call all the built-in function of Excel. Okay, and then Macy here, right? And then on the top, which is at the root level, you want to get the sum of all the floor, not this one, right? Let's say that this is probably 1 and the other one is 5. Okay? So make sure that from each floor, from each department, you get the sum of all the because this number right here will dictate the size of the rectangle box. Okay, and then this one right here is actually the sum of each department, each floor. Okay, then you basically just gonna graph these things here, right? And of course, remember, this is the child and the parent, immediate parent, okay? But you're gonna highlight this area right here, and then you just graph, right? Right? You see that? You can clearly see it, okay? And it can help you to see it. Clearly you say that, okay, I want to see sort of like a subcategory of the first level. Make that one maybe this color. So you know, okay, Macy, men's apparel, furniture, and women apparel, that's going to be a first level subcategory. And then within the subcategory, you actually have subcategory of the subcategory, okay? Like Kevin, Uniqlo, Hollister, Muji, and all this stuff. Victoria's Secret, women apparel, furniture, right? If you want to have Victoria's Secret a little bigger, then remember, let me show you. This is going to be, let's say that this is 9, and then this is 7, this is 1, right? So now you see that it's changed because the number will determine the size of the box that it gets, right? It will determine the size of the rectangle box next within that subcategory, okay? That's how you generated the tree map. I'm really curious, so that's why I looking at the information that I feel like of my interest. I feel like I'm interested in looking at this stuff and see how the graph get generated. So I basically created all these tables here, the data set. Okay. However, I also want to let you know that the Microsoft Excel tree map is quite different. Okay, it's not the same as it's kind of like the opposite. All right, the first column is going to be a parent, and the second column is going to be a child. Okay, so I don't have the example of that. It's actually on my laptop, but it's broken right now. So, but it's pretty much the same, but it's different in the way that it's kind of like the opposite. You have to swap those columns. You have to generate it to see exactly how, because the same kind of data, the same data set, if you bring it over to Microsoft Excel and you try to generate it, the tree map, the graph would be different. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you have to transfer, you have to sort of like transfer into Microsoft Excel that that the tree map there and the way that the data set up are different. Okay. And that is the end of our week 5 presentation for our tree map. Okay. That way, this one right here, when you take a look at the graph, you'll be able to see, um, you can trace and see the route to see how the information from this level connect to the information from a level higher than that, or to the level 1. You can actually see how all the data at this bottom level related to a data on the high level. Okay, so it's actually best for organizing any data that is complex and layers. What else do I need to tell you? Hold on. That's pretty much it for week 5 data visualization. Let me see what else do I want to show you. Yep. So basically, it's the the uh, the 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 format, the dataset requirement is you have to set up 3 columns. Okay. First column is a child, second column is the immediate parents, and then the third column is the number, numeric values. Okay. And then the fourth column, which is optional, you can yeah, sort of like is specify specific color for each of these subcategory and category. Okay. And then let's say that if you're interested in building a menu for a restaurant, right? The menu for a restaurant, if you want to take a look at to see how the item on the item on the menu show, on the graph, you can actually just basically created a data set, right? And the manual for a restaurant, let's say a menu for the restaurant you have a different item for breakfast, for lunch, and dinner. So that's going to be right there. You have 3 main category. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then from each of those main category, breakfast, you have breakfast item, lunch, you have lunch item, and dinner, you have dinner item. So you can, and then all those item menu will be associated with a price, right? That would be a numeric value of each item would be a price for each item. So you can create it, the data set that way. And then you can craft to see exactly how the information, how your table, your data set will show those information and the relationship among these category and subcategory next to category. Okay? That will conclude our presentation, and I'm looking forward to see you the next time, the week 6, which is going to be 2 weeks from today. Because I try to do every 1 week, but then I don't have time to do some of the stuff. Okay, so every 2 weeks I will try to generate and sort of like push out 1 week of my new kind of materials, new kind of graph that I want to go over. Okay. And if you're really interested in to see exactly what kind of graph, let's say that this one right here, they have all kind of graph. Okay. Yeah. If you interested in further understand how the graph is implemented, they have all kind of graph here. I'm doing the same stuff too. I'm just looking at all this stuff, and I basically created the tree map right here. It's a tree map, and this is going to be a graph here, Asia, Asia have India, China, Japan, you know. So basically they divide it into like continent and country, right? If you take a look at it, you see that, that's how they divide it. Iran, how do you go back to it? Right? Global. If you want to see global here, you want to see Europe, right? You want to see America, you see United States, Mexico, right? And right? And this is how they build that data set, you know, right? It's kind of like inline coding on the website, you know. And once you're familiar with the process of doing it on a Google Sheet, and then you want to take it to another high level, advanced level, you want to learn how to code and um, display and present the graph, you can basically just apply the similar concept, the same kind of practice onto a web page. Okay. So this is what it is, America global. The immediate parents of America is global. The immediate of Asia is global. And then you go into details of, okay, who is the children of Asia? Okay, so China, Asia, Japan, Asia, Brazil, America, things like that. Okay, that's it. And I will see you week 6 in 2 weeks from now. Bye.